Obsidian is much, much more than a simple note-taking app. It's useful for any kind of project or productivity system, including as a daily task manager. In this video, we'll dive into the powerful community plugin Tasks, which enhances Obsidian's simple checkboxes with the ability to aggregate tasks from anywhere in your vault, set due dates, create recurring tasks, and so much more. By the end, we'll have built a fully fledged task manager, all contained within an Obsidian vault. For this project, I've started a brand new vault that I can work in. I'm going to be basing my task manager on my favorite standalone task manager, Things. Things is only available on Mac and iOS, so by building this inside of a cross-platform app like Obsidian, you'll have access to similar features that you could only get if you are on Mac. You're of course free to set this up however you like, but by using something like Things as a template, it'll be much easier to be able to show you all the amazing capabilities that the Tasks plugin offers. So we're going to go ahead and delete this welcome note. We don't need it. Then we're going to head on over into Settings. We're going to come down here to Community Plugins, and we're going to turn on Community Plugins. Go to Browse, and Tasks is a super popular plugin, so it appears right up at the top. So we're going to click on it, hit Install, and then hit Enable. We'll next click on Options, and this will take us to all the settings that are available for this plugin. We have two different format options for tasks to be able to find our tasks and be able to create them. The default is the Tasks emoji format. This uses little emojis to be able to indicate due dates, start dates, and things like that. The other option you have is by using the Data View plugin, which we're not going to get into in this video, so we're going to stick with the Tasks emoji format. If you wanted to, you could have only certain checkboxes count as tasks. So you can add a special tag to any of the checkboxes that you want to be included in the tasks queries. We're not going to set that up. I want all of the checkboxes to be considered tasks in this vault. If you do have that special tag set up, by turning on this setting, it will prevent that tag from showing when you query for the tasks, so it won't clutter things up. The global query setting allows you to be able to set certain things that you want to have in every query. So for instance, if you created templates that had certain tasks already in them, you could make it so that the whole templates folder wouldn't show up by saying path does not include templates. That's actually something I do want in this case, so we are going to put that. We're also going to be creating a utilities folder that I don't want to show up either, so we're going to include that as well. Tasks can have different statuses, like if they're not being worked on yet, they're to do, and if they've been checked off, then they're considered done. So you can add and remove different statuses in this area if you'd like. There are some themes that include custom checkbox types already. One of those themes happens to be one that's based on the Things task manager. I'm actually going to hit this Add 22 supported task types, and this will add in all of the custom checkboxes that the Things theme gives us. We're going to install that theme in just a second. There are different settings for dates. If you want a created date to show up whenever you create a new task, you can turn that on. When you complete a task, this will automatically add in the date that the task was completed. You can also, when you cancel a task, the date will also get added in for that as well. So you can turn these on and off if you'd like. If the file name has a date in it, you can use that as the scheduled date for any of the tasks that are in that file. By default, recurring tasks will create a new version of the task above the completed task. You can have that go the other way around with this setting. There are different settings that you can do for auto-suggesting. We're just going to leave all of this the same for now. So I'm going to head over to Appearance now, and I'm going to go to Manage under Themes, and we're going to go ahead and install the Things theme. So now we have those special types of checkboxes that we created custom statuses for. And now we're going to go over to Core Plugins. And we're going to make sure that the Daily Notes plugin is turned on. It is. We're going to be using that as the place where we enter in new tasks. We'll also have a log of completed tasks for each of those days. So let's go ahead and start getting this all set up. We're going to start by creating a new folder. We're going to make that templates folder that we said we wanted to exclude from our tasks query. And inside, we're going to create a new note. And this is going to be the Daily Note template. Hit enter. We're going to close this local graph view. I don't need that open right now. We're going to add in a heading here. We're going to do 2 hashes. We're going to say completed. And we're going to create our first task query. So in order to do this, we're going to hit the back tick 3 times, and that's up just below your escape key, and that will create a code block, and then we're going to write the word tasks. This will tell it that we want this to be a tasks query. So these are going to be tasks that are already completed. So we're going to say done, and we're going to say on, and then we're going to do 2 curly braces, and we're going to say date. So what this is going to do is, this is a template, so when we create a new daily note using this template, it's going to insert whatever the date is into that field for us, and then this query will then pull all the tasks that were completed on this particular date. It's going to show you this scary looking error. That's fine for this. It's saying that it can't find any tasks on the curly braces date because this is a template variable that we're putting here. This will work in a note that has that date get actually inserted. So it's okay, don't worry about it. We're gonna do another heading too, it's ##, and this is going to be created. This is the area that we will set aside for creating new tasks. So let's head back over to the settings real fast. I want us to be able to set a few things in the daily notes settings. So this is what our daily note title is gonna look like right now. I'm actually gonna enter in a special syntax that will automatically organize these notes into year and month folders. So we're going to do 4 capital Y's for the year, then we're going to do a slash, and then we're going to do 2 capital M's for the month, another slash, and then 4 capital Y's again to get us the year, a dash, 2 capital M's for the month again, a dash, 2 capital D's for the day, and then we're going to do a space, and then 3 little d's. And as you can see, that's now going to put our note into a folder called 2024, and then a month folder, and then this is what the title of the note is going to be. It's going to be the date, followed by what day of the week it is. So because we've set it up this way, we don't actually need to give it a location to put these. This syntax is going to put those where we want them automatically. And we need to tell it where we want to find our daily note template. So we're going to do that right here. And we want the daily note to open at startup. The reason for this is because Obsidian is not great at quick capture. There's no way to get notes into it from outside of the app right now, at least not easily. So what we'll do is we'll have this daily note open at startup. So when you have a task that you need to record down quickly, you can open up Obsidian, you can open up this vault, and it will automatically go to that daily note, and you can quickly jot it down. So now that we got all the settings ready, we're actually going to create our first daily note. So let's close the settings. And we're going to create our first daily note by going over here to this calendar icon and clicking it. And as you can see, we've now created our first daily note. It's put it in this 2024, this 10 folder, and added in that title the way that we want it formatted. As you can see, we've got 0 tasks completed today. It created that date for us in our query. So now we're going to go down to this created section and start creating just a bunch of random tasks for us to work with. So to create a checkbox, you do dash, space, bracket, space, and then you do a space afterwards, and now we have a checkbox. And as you can see, it pulls up this little menu for us to be able to quickly add in things like due dates, start dates, scheduled dates. For right now, we're just going to say brand new task, hit enter. We're going to say another task, yet another task. And we got all these random tasks created. Now we have something to work with to be able to create our different views that we want inside of our task manager. So we're going to create that utilities folder that I mentioned earlier. So let's close that, hit new folder. We're going to say underscore utilities, and then we're going to create a new note. The first one we're going to create is an inbox. So we'll title this one inbox, and then we're going to do those backticks and tasks. For our inbox, we want tasks that are not complete. They don't have any dates associated with them. They don't have any tags. They're not organized in any way. We just want plain, simple tasks. So we want tasks that are not done. We want no due date, no scheduled date, and no start date. So the task plugin does give you 3 different options for dates. They're pretty self-explanatory. You can use them however you want. So we're also going to say no tags, and then we're going to go ahead and hit enter afterwards. And this has now gone and queried throughout the whole vault to find the tasks that meet this criteria. So for right now, that's just the ones that we created inside of that new daily note. You may have noticed that there's this little pencil emoji next to the tasks. Let's go ahead and click on that, and that opens up a menu for us to be able to edit our tasks. These tasks don't actually live inside of this inbox note, but we can edit them, and it will go and it will make those changes to the task in whatever file it's in. So we can change what the text of the task is. I can say a brand new task, and I can put parentheses, yay. And then when I hit apply, it adds in that yay for me. So let's open that back up. We don't actually want it to say yay. You can set different priorities for your tasks using these little emojis, and this editor will just add those emojis in for you, and then the plugin will use those emojis to indicate, the priorities. It'll do the same thing for all the different dates that you can set, that due date, schedule date, start date. You can have tasks be reliant on each other, so if there's a task that you want to complete before this, or you need to complete before this, you can select from this list here. You can also do that for after, if there's a task that needs to be done after this one. You can set the status based on those custom statuses that we created earlier. You can also change the created or done or canceled dates. You could do all of this from this awesome menu, and it will save all of your changes for you. So to help us out with the next few views that I want to create, I'm going to add a due date to this one. And what's also great about this is you can use natural language to set these dates. So I can say tomorrow, and it will calculate the date based on what I type in. So tomorrow is October 2nd. I could also say I want this done on Friday, and it will give me the next Friday. So let's go ahead and hit apply. So that now has a date associated with it, which means it no longer shows up in our inbox because our query doesn't allow anything that has a due date. So it's now cleared, it's now processed out of our inbox. So we're going to do that with a few more of these. I'm going to add a scheduled date here. We're going to say today on this one. And I'm going to add a start date of, let's put tomorrow on this one. So as you can see, they're disappearing from our inbox, and this is how you can go through and actually process the tasks that are in your inbox. So I think we've got enough tasks to be able to start creating some of our other views. If we need to, we can come back here and edit a few more. Let's go over to our utilities folder and create a new note. We're going to create the today view. And we're going to do our 3 backticks. And we're going to say tasks. We want all these to be tasks that are not done. We want all the tasks that have today's date associated with them. But not only that, we want anything that has a date associated with it from before today that isn't done, because we want those things to carry forward. We don't want those tasks to get lost. So we want them to show up in our today view so that we can keep working on them. So what's nice is that there is a way of doing all of the different kinds of dates just in one query. We can say happens on or before today. And that will give us anything that has a date on or before today. I want our tasks to be grouped by tags. So tags is something that I'll show you how to add those to a task in just a second. So we're going to say group by tags. I want them to all be sorted by their status. So like to do or in progress. We want the in progress ones to go to the top of the list so that we can have those be in focus, and those are the ones that we want to get done next, right? Because they're in progress. So we want to say sort by status.type. We had just one of those tasks due or start or scheduled for today, so it's the one that we had scheduled. So this is the one that we're getting. This doesn't have a tag associated to it. Let's change that. We're going to hit our edit button again. To add a tag, we just add it to the description. So we're going to put a space here. We're going to give it a hash, and we're going to give this a hash of personal. Hit apply, and now it's showing up under the personal tag. So let's actually go back to our inbox and add another one of these tags in. So we're going to have this be work, and we're going to have it scheduled for yesterday. And let's go over to our day view, and we have it was scheduled yesterday, but it's showing up in the today view because it's something we still want to keep working on, and they're now grouped by their tags. Now let's see how that sorting works. We're going to actually give this a tag of personal so that they're in the same list. And then we're going to make this in progress. So we actually need to go back into that menu, go to this status, say in progress, hit apply. As you can see, it popped that in progress up to the top, so that's the one that we focus on and we work on next. So that's our today view. Let's create another view. We're going to create a new note. And this one's going to be our upcoming. So anything that's going to happen down the line in the future. So let's do our query, say not done. And this is going to be anything that happens after today. And so these are the things that we had scheduled or starting in the future. We want these to actually be grouped by their dates. So we're going to actually go back up to this and we're going to say group by happens. And now we could see in a list all the different things that we have coming up under their dates. Let's add another view. This one is going to be the anytime view. So things that have been categorized using the tags, but don't have any sort of date associated with them. They're things that we can get done anytime. They don't have to be done on a specific date. So we're going to do anytime, do our query block, not done. And we're going to say no due date, no scheduled date, no start date, and we're going to say has tags. And we don't have anything that doesn't have a date associated with it or has a tag. So let's go ahead and change that. Go over to the inbox and we're going to click on this one. We're going to give it a tag of work and it should be showing up in our anytime view. There it is. So this is something that we can get done anytime we want. Our last view is going to be the someday view. We're going to say someday. These are things that maybe we'll get to at some point, or maybe they're just not that important right now. We want to do them later. Or like I said, maybe there's something that we won't actually ever get to. So we put them on this someday list. We're going to do our task query here. We're going to say not done. And this one, we're going to say, there's no real way of saying someday with the dates. So we're actually just going to give it a tag of someday, or things that we want to show up here will have the tag someday. So to do that, we say tags include and then someday. We don't have any tagged with someday. Let's go back to our inbox. We'll grab this last task that we have here. We'll give it a tag of someday. And now that should show up under our someday list. Now I realize that this will also show up under our anytime because it has a tag and we don't have any way of saying that this someday shouldn't show up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into this. We're going to say has tags, but we're going to say tags does not include someday. And we will make sure that that someday task does not show up in our anytime task. So those are our views that we want to create for our task manager. I want these to be easily accessible. So I am actually going to create bookmarks for each of these. Let's go in and start with the inbox. To create a bookmark, we just go up to the bookmark tab here, and we're going to hit this create a bookmark icon, and we're going to title it inbox. We're going to hit save. We're going to go back to files. The next one that we will do is our today view. Add that in, hit save. What I like about putting these into bookmarks is that there's a kind of a dedicated kind of sidebar that we have now for these different views. And we can sort them however we want. So we have our inbox at the top, whereas in our file explorer, it's second in the list. So now it's in the order that I want it. Maybe you want the upcoming to be at the top. You can just drag that up and put it up at the top. And you can rearrange these however you want. So I'm going to put it back down. So we were doing tags with like a personal tag and a work tag. These are kind of like general areas or categories that we want to have our tasks be able to be put into. Now, maybe we want to be able to see all of the tasks that we have for work, or that we have for personal. We can create views for those things as well. So let's go back over to our files. We're actually going to create a new folder for this, and I'm going to call it areas. And then inside of that, I'm going to create a new note. We're going to call this work. We're going to do our now very familiar tasks block query. We're going to say not done, and we're going to say tags include work. And now anything that is tagged with work shows up in this area. We're going to create another one. We're going to call this personal. Not done. Tags include personal. And all of our personal tags now show up here. So now we can see those in a central place If you want to, you can now go over to your bookmarks and you can create bookmarks for these. Let's create a personal one. So areas are kind of general categories of things that don't have like an end date. Work itself doesn't have an end date. Personal things don't have an end date. So these are the kinds of things that you can like create dedicated tags for and then create these dedicated views for. I'm going to add just a little bit of organization to these bookmarks. I'm going to create a bookmark group. We're going to call this areas. And I'm going to drag my personal and my work bookmarks into these areas. So they're a little bit separate from like these main views that I have going on up here. Now, what if you do have a project that you're wanting to manage here? Something that has a concrete deadline or end date. This isn't something that you necessarily want to create a tag for because it's something that will eventually end. So in order to accomplish this, I like to create kind of a dedicated project note type. So let's go over to our templates, create a new note, and we're going to do a project template. For this, we're going to be utilizing some properties. So we're going to do 3 dashes, and that gives us our properties. The first one we want to put in here is our deadline. And in order to make it a date field, we click on this little icon here. We go over to property type and we hit date. And then that will give us a date field that we can then pick from a date picker what we want the deadline to be. And then we're going to add a couple of headings in here. We're going to do our 2 hashes and we're going to say tasks. And then we're going to hit enter a couple times and we're going to do 3 dashes and that gives us a horizontal rule, a line here. And we're going to do another heading and we're going to call this one notes. So now we have a place for the tasks for our project and a place for the notes for our project. Now I want to create a projects folder to put our projects in. And inside of projects, I want a few different folders to kind of indicate different statuses. So we're going to create a new folder inside where the first one is going to be active. So projects that are actively being worked on. Get another folder. We're going to call this one holding tank. So these are projects that are coming up that we haven't actually started yet. You don't want to have too many active projects at once. So having kind of a holding tank for future projects is a good idea so that you don't lose those projects, but you have a place to put them. Then our last folder I'm going to create is done. So projects that are completed. I'm going to create a new note inside of the active folder and we're going to say my awesome project. So we want to insert our project template into this file. So we're going to go over and click on this insert template icon. And as you see, I have not set a template folder for this vault. When you do that real fast, let's go over to settings. We're going to scroll down to the core plugins here. We're going to go to templates. And then we need to specify that the templates is our templates folder that we can pull from. So now clicking on that button again gives us our templates. We hit project. We now have this project. We give it a deadline by clicking over here. We'll say it's due by Saturday or whatever. So now we can add in our tasks, create, report, do something else. So with the tasks for projects, they just live inside of this project note. They will also get pulled into these other views as I add dates and things to them. Right now, if we go over to our inbox, they should be showing up in our inbox. These are things that haven't been sorted yet. And I can go in and I can sort them. Let's give this a due date of tomorrow. And let's give this one a due date of Wednesday. And this one a due date of Thursday. Now those have been sorted. I can go back over to my projects. Those now have those dates associated with them. So let's say you wanted to be able to edit them right within the project using that nice context menu. What you can do is you can open up the command palette. So you do Command P and then you can search for tasks and then go to create or edit task, hit enter. Because I had my cursor on that task, it will pull up the editing window for that task. Now, if you wanted to create a new task using that context, so I can hit enter a couple of times, open up the command palette, type task, create or edit. Because the line that it was on didn't have a task, it now gives us the create a task window. So I can say the 4th task, and then we'll give this a scheduled date of today. And now we've got a brand new task. So you can add new tasks with that menu as well. And going back over to our today view, we should now have that fourth task showing up. It doesn't have any tags. It does, though, show you what file that task is coming from. It's coming from this My Awesome project, and it's also showing you what heading that task is under. If I click on this, I can go directly to that task inside of that project. So you don't have to necessarily search through your file system in order to get to your project. You can just click on the link from one of the tasks from your project. And then if the project has any notes, I can write them here. Something that you can do in Things is you can associate projects with areas. So in order to be able to do that in this case, we could add a property here of area and then just have a backlink to the area. And then I can click on this and I can go to that area and see all the tasks that are in that area. A couple other ideas of views that you could include here is you could have a view that shows you all of the tasks that have due dates or deadlines associated with them. So let's go over to our utilities again. We'll have a new note and we're going to say deadlines. Do our task query. We're going to say everything that's not done, and then we're going to say has due date. So anything that has a due date will now show up in our deadlines view. Another thing that you could add to this deadlines is maybe you want to see anything that is overdue. So we're actually going to create another task query, a separate one. We're going to say not done, and we're going to say due before today. Now, we don't have any due before today, so let's go ahead and maybe we'll say this one was due yesterday. And now that shows up here, and we can label this with overdue. And maybe we want to give it a call out here. So now we can very clearly see the things that are overdue. And then for this query down here, we'll actually say due on or after today. And that way we're not repeating the things that are in the overdue section. The task plugin has the ability to create recurring tasks, things that happen on a regular basis. So I'm going to create a note for that. Now I can't put that inside of utilities because that is one of the folders that we're telling it to not look in. And this is a file that we're going to actually put tasks directly into. So I'm just going to create a new note at the vault level. So we'll say recurring. And then I am going to use that command again, the task creator edit task, and we'll say take out the trash. Now we're going to have this recur, and it's going to be every week on Tuesday, we'll say. And then we'll have it scheduled for Tuesday. Let's have it be today so that we can see it in our today view. Let's go over to our today view, and we can see that we have take out the trash here on recurring. So let's say that I completed that task. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. It's now gone from our today view. Let's go back over to our recurring. You see it marked it as complete. It gave us a completion date, and then it created a new occurrence of that recurring task, and it automatically set it for the next Tuesday because it's set up to be every week on Tuesday. So anything that you want to have happen on a regular basis, you can put in this recurring file, and it will create new instances of that every time you complete them. And with that, we have a fully functioning task manager built inside of our Obsidian Vault. Now, this was a lot of things to do, lots of views and things to set up. If this is something that you are interested in using, I will make this vault available to you on my website. You can go there and download this vault and open it up. And you can either use it the way that it's been set up already, or you can go in and tweak the queries, make it your own. I'll also include a link to the documentation for the tasks plugin in the description, as well as inside of this vault. This video had a bit more of an advanced Obsidian tutorial. If you're looking for more beginner tips and tricks, you can check out my playlist right here. Thank you for watching.